Hello and welcome to Africa Weekly. Recent political development in parts of Africa are such that scholars and political actors are heightening the conversation around whether liberal democracy as currently being practiced has delivered on its objectives for the continent. Issues of infrastructure, especially the role housing plays in rural development in African communities, is one that requires critical examination. These are other development stories around the continent on the episode of Africa Weekly. My name is Justin Bemunyi and I welcome you to the program. Pan-Africanism, nation building and democracy in Africa in the face of resurgent coups were the focus of the third public lecture of the African School of Diplomacy and International Relations held in Abuja, Nigeria, where scholars held the view that perhaps the concept of Liberia democracy needs a bit of adaptation to suit African cultural peculiarities.
Post-independence saw initial progress at democracy in Africa, which is threatened by resurgence of military coup in many countries, with as much as 5 since 2021. The impact of these on nation building is enormous. Recent scholars in the continent are heightening the conversation of possible modification patterns of liberal democracy with a touch of cultural identity and leadership practices in Africa that will take into consideration issues of ethnicity, religion, and historical tenets that will enable African countries accelerate nation building where they will be relevant in the political economy of the global race.
Purposeful leadership, strong economy, strong institutions. Can we get there? This is our position, that we must strengthen our institutions.
It's a conscious decision made in response to the prevailing political and economic deficit in Africa. Despite the remarkable stride made in the nation-building efforts across the continent, it remains an unfinished business.
And now, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, is set to issue a decision on a complaint submitted by lawyers of former Nigerian President Mohamed Bazoum over his ouster in a July coup. The complaint with the ECOWAS Court of Justice by Bazoum's lawyers centers on what they called sequestration and arbitrary detention. The court's decision is expected on Thursday, November 30. The public prosecutor at the Niamey Court of Appeal confirmed that there had been an escape attempt by President Mohamed Bazoum on October 18, but gave no details. The ECOWAS Court of Justice had on November 21 examined Niger's complaint against the regional organization, which imposed sanctions following the coup d'etat. Yunkaila Yaye said there is no sector of the Nigerian society that has not been affected by the sanctions. The government asked the court to relax the sanctions pending the final judgment, but ECOWAS protested their request. Since his toppling, Bazoum has been held at his residence in the heart of the presidential palace in Niamey, Niger's capital. Mohamed Bazoum is the fifth Nigerian president to be overthrown by a coup since the country gained independence from France in 1960. And Conference of Parties COP28 opens in Dubai with calls for accelerated action and high ambition against the escalation of climate crisis. The conference takes place in what is already known to be the hottest year ever recorded in human history, and as the impacts of the climate crisis wreak unprecedented havoc on human life and livelihoods around the world.
It was time to attend the World Leaders Summit at Expo City, where countries were expected to discuss climate mitigation efforts But a stop by at the Nigerian pavilion did so much good, with foreign partners immediately taking advantage of President Tinubu's visit for partnership. Even though he didn't formally speak to the press, there was more to the visit. For the Director General, National Council on Climate Change, it was all about seamless energy transition plans and flexible grants to African countries who are suffering more from climate devastation that is of no fault of theirs.
Operationalization, it means most of the gray areas, including some of the countries that exhibited initial pushback, have now agreed to work with the rest of the globe and provide this much needed fund.
COP28 will not be a talk shop, and we're hoping that we can see a lot of movements from what we saw way back in Paris.
Soon to follow was the visit of the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who insisted COP28 must deliver for Nigeria, as the United Arab Emirates promised $30 billion alongside Germany and the EU.
So we must tap into it. We must tap into the one from the EU, the US, to start building up green hydrogen.
While Nigeria hopes countries will deliver on the loss and damage fund, it is seeking strong global response and cut down on global emission to create a more sustainable, affordable and clean cooking fuel.
The African Development Bank will mobilize financing for climate action at this year's UN Climate Change Conference COP28 and amplify Africa's calls for robust commitments by wealthy countries to meet the continent's urgent needs in addressing climate change. The bank group, led by its president, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, will launch and cement several climate action initiatives during the global event taking place in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, from November 30 to December 12. The delegation, including vice presidents, senior management, and sector experts, will aim to increase the bank's visibility within the global climate change community and mobilize additional resources for climate funds and facilities. During the two-week conference, the bank will advance partnerships and resource mobilization for its Africa Climate Risk Insurance Facility for adaptation as a vital tool to raise the billions needed to foster climate adaptation, resilience, and sustainable development within Africa's agricultural sector. The bank will also join its partners in launching the Global Battery Energy Storage System Consortium, a joint initiative with the Rockefeller Foundation, in which the bank plays a leading role through its 10-gigawatt Desert-to-Power Solar Energy Initiative. The consortium aims to secure 5 gigawatts of commitments by the end of 2024 and mobilize more than $4 billion to significantly reduce the cost of renewable energy technologies. During COP28, the African Development Bank will also cement funding commitments for its $10 billion alliance for green infrastructure in Africa. In addition, the bank will leverage COP28 to advance the Bridgetown Initiative, a climate and development plan, by hosting a high-level session to advocate for channeling IMF special drawing rights to multilateral development banks and announce pledges. The Secretary General of United Towns Agency for North-South Cooperation, EYA-ESIF, was in Nigeria recently on an advocacy tour on issues of rural-urban development that places housing at the core of development plan for developing countries. She had a conversation with Africa Weekly, and here is an excerpt from that conversation.
We are here just to unify the agenda, to work on the economic and political and social integration within the region. And we are so glad that the public institution, the government, traditional rulers, they are pushing with us and enhancing this agenda, because unifying Africa, this is our strength. Starting from the inauguration from the UTA, I can see that there is a strong engagement, a strong commitment, and also we are confirming and approving our agenda. Our ambassador, Ms. Abigail, Princess Abigail, so she showed her interest in collaborating and enhancing cooperation between Nigeria and all the other agencies, the 110 agencies around the world. So she's focused on international cooperation, and she has the skill to do it and to succeed in it. Yes, yesterday we had a visit in the IDC camp. So we just identifying the situation there, the needs of the people. So we did our report, and this report will be presenting in the UN to support these people. So at least we do something also for these people who are suffering silently. So this is one of our chapter that we are working on it, but also how to cooperate and how to build partnership between countries within the region, within the African region.
So Nigeria is
We now take you to Zambia, where the Health Minister Sylvia Masebo says there is need to embrace innovation and digital technology in transforming health systems in Africa. Speaking at the International Conference on Public Health in Africa, which is underway in Zambia, Ms. Masebo noted that the transformative leadership agenda on the continent calls for alignment of developmental plans with health initiatives.
Everybody's excitement.
Discussions are underway in a quest to strengthen Africa's resilience to disease outbreaks. The second day of the plenary sessions of the International Conference on Public Health in Africa included the special ministerial session discussing transformative leadership in Africa. Health Minister Sylvia Masebo said health initiatives of African countries should be aligned with their developmental goals.
We must embrace innovation because innovation is the cornerstone of progress. We must leverage technology, embrace digital health, and support indigenous innovations which are tailored to our unique context.
Health Minister of Rwanda, Sabine Nsanzimana, said that artificial intelligence will transform health services on the continent.
We should embrace this technology, of course, within clear frameworks and laws and guidelines, so that it helps us where it has to be helping us.
Meanwhile, Minister of State to the President of Senegal, Awesek, called for appointment of women to positions of leadership in the health sector. And Africa CDC Chief of Staff, Ngashi Ngongo, said digital health is a game changer for the health sector.
We see in the primary healthcare digitalization agenda a place where we really want to empower these women to be the ones that are driving the digitalization agenda.
The conference, which runs until November 30, will also explore resilient financing mechanisms to strengthen pandemic preparedness and Africa's progress in advancing local production of vaccines, among others.
Still on public health, in Nigeria, the impact of poor sanitation and open defecation is one giving authorities concerns. How is the country tackling this to safeguard the health of the vast population is what the Registrar of the Environmental Health Registration Council spoke about in this excerpt.
Area of sanitation, and give priority to area of sanitation at the federal, at the state, and at the local government, so that the narration will change. Let me tell you, about 97% of diseases that are ravaging our community are sanitation related. And 70% of those diseases waterborne diseases that are acquired as a result of the scenario you have mentioned. You defecate, because if you defecate, rainwater fall in, it will wash the water into the river, and you know, most of the communities that reside within the river territory, they use it for one, domestic and also other purposes, and they use it for irrigation purposes. So that's why even the rate of typhoid fever and cholera is very high. Immediately rain set in. Do you know why? Because you will be living in Asokoro and you are thinking that you have escaped open defecation. Unfortunately for you, the fruits and the tomatoes and the salad, everything that is coming from the farm, they are using that contaminated water with fecal matter to do the irrigation, and the remnant of it is still retained there. So if you don't have a good cook that will come and wash it thoroughly using vinegar and everything, so you still swallow the microbes. So basically the effect of open defecation cut across all social factors. The issue of sanitation is a cross-cutting issue that involve Ministry of Health, Ministry of Environment, and Ministry of Water Resources. And in the spirit of the One Health concept, I think you can see the synergy in the celebration of the World Toilet Day this year, where the three ministries come together and celebrate in a big way. Not only in a big way, when you look at the theme, the accelerating change, because what we are looking at is how to accelerate the achievements so that we can be able to meet up with the target of order number 9 of the achieving open defecation by 2030, which is a little bit late, but with the coming of the three ministries together, we are seeing that there is going to be accelerated activities that will meet and match with our talking, with also with our action. I think basically this is one of the things that we need to commend the president. Also, it is very important for me to give the scenario, because environmental health, as a council that regulates environmental health, what is going for us is the disposition of the manpower at the grassroots, because we are the only profession that are synonymous with sanitation. When you look at the history, because we started as sanitary inspectors when the colonial masters came in, and what is the objective of creating the sanitary inspectors cadre within the public service is to produce that check and balances, and also to make sure that they have policed the environment to be able to address the issue of sanitation and sanitation challenges across the country. Somewhere along the line, there was disconnect because of the priority of government. You see a situation whereby a lot of money is being spent on the curative aspect. We know when you look at the statistics of how many people have access to these toilets and how many people also die as a result of not having access to toilets and its implications. What do I mean by implication? The implication of open defecation, which is a major public health challenge that increase the prevalence and also the incidence rate of gastrointestinal diseases, with high mortality of children under 5 who are more vulnerable to that. So you can see how the significance this day is to human life. The local government has has the biggest responsibility because the issue of sanitation is domiciled within the ambit of the local government. This was in Schedule 7 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. But there is a lot of challenges surrounding the management of the local. It's not only the sanitation. Because of the poor funding of sanitation and other aspects that is supposed to be handled by the local government, the state creates the State Environmental Protection Board. So the State Environmental Protection Board are complementing what the local government is doing in addressing the issue of sanitation. That's one. Then at the federal government, like what I mentioned earlier, the government has taken it very serious because this is the first time that in the restructuring of the ministries, that Ministry of Water Resources have been given additional mandate of sanitation. That means sanitation is one of the key components that is integral part of the mandate of water resources, even though the larger picture of sanitation, about 15 components, are still domiciled in Ministry of Environment.
Zambia's Vice President Mutale Nalumango has advised players in the manufacturing and service industries to align their products and services with international standards to penetrate regional and international markets. She said these are the 2023 Zambia Annual Quality Awards and Manufacturing Gala Night in Lusaka.
It was a night for awarding those who are dedicated and innovative in the manufacturing sector. The best exporters and manufacturers were recognized at the 2023 Annual Quality Awards and Manufacturing Gala in Lusaka. For a third consecutive year, Vice President Mutale Nalumango graced the event where she advised manufacturers to break into the international market.
The government has identified the manufacturing sector as one of the priority sectors to drive our economy, our economic development and transformation agenda. It is for this reason that my office will always keep its doors open to ensure that together we grow the manufacturing sector.
Over the past years, Zambia's manufacturing sector has grown to a level where the country has become a net exporter of certain products.
We've launched the export of fertilizer into the Republic of Tanzania. Last month, we launched the export of fertilizer into the Republic of Botswana. And next week, we'll be launching the export of fertilizer into the Republic of Zimbabwe.
The awards were organized by the Zambia Association of Manufacturers and the Zambia Bureau of Standards with support from the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, and the Zambia Agribusiness and Trade Project in the Ministry of Commerce.
In the last budget, you took steps to recognize the value chain concept by taking broad and bold steps on the cotton value chain in giving incentives to create and reignite that industry that once employed close to 80,000 people in the 90s.
The Zambia Agribusiness and Trade Project is working closely with the Zambia Bureau of Standards and the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency in strengthening their capacity, which in turn will boost the quality and standard of Zambian products.
Among the big winners were companies such as Trade Kings Group, Kapenda Mabula Natural Exporters, Zambia Sugar, Zamefa, and Big Tree Beverages.
That's a package this week. Thanks for being part of it. My name is Justin Bemunyi.